I am a third-year biology student at Concordia College, and I plan to go into the field of herpetology, which is the study of reptiles and amphibians. I'm currently in ISC 232, also known as the Animal Room, as you might have known by the aquariums behind me. I've been working in the Animal Room since September of 2018, which was my freshman year. I remember meeting up with Dr. Strand in ISC before the school year began, meeting all of the current critters that were there at the time, and discussing my future plans. I think that once she knew that I was obsessed with reptiles and amphibians, she felt comfortable with expanding the Animal Room from a snake and a few tortoises to so much more. And I got to help make decisions on what new species we could bring in and care for. My first and most emphatic suggestion was axolotls, which was rejected at first by a certain someone in the Animal Room. But I remember being called into the Animal Room one day to find Kelly and Dr. Strand with 2 axolotls. I loved them so immensely that they became kind of my own special project, which continues to this day 2.5 years later, and I have been their only regular caretaker. I had always wanted an axolotl named Jenny, so I named the female Jenny and the male Forrest, and yes, that is definitely a Forrest Gump reference. You might be wondering what even is an axolotl. Axolotls are an amphibian. They are a species of salamander closely related to a common species of salamander that you can find in the wild up here in Minnesota, the tiger salamander. Except axolotls are only native to one lake in Mexico, Lake Xochimilco, in South Mexico City. Out of 5 historical connected lakes, Xochimilco is the only one remaining. Its neighboring lakes have been replaced with urban development or turned into a series of canals connected to the lake. Traditionally, axolotls were used as a food source, for medicine, and as an icon from Aztec mythology, which is just another part of the culture lost because of urbanization, habitat loss, pollution, and invasive species. All have contributed to their critically endangered status by the IUCN Red List. As of 2008, it was estimated that about only 100 axolotls existed per square kilometer in the lake, and in 2013, a 4-month-long search found no axolotls. And only 2 sightings have been recorded since, making them functionally extinct in the wild. This is one characteristic that makes them a rarity, but another trait is something called neoteny. Neoteny is the retention of larval or juvenile or tadpole features in the adult stage, meaning axolotls look and function like their tadpole selves, and they are aquatic their entire lives. Not only do they not walk on land, making the title walking fish a complete lie, but they also retain their functional gills from their true larval stage. However, they also form lungs, like their tiger salamander cousins, which means that they can breathe air and often even come up to the surface of the water to take a gulp of air. And they use it to suspend themselves in the middle of the water for fun. It's really cute. They're adorable. One more thing that makes them so unique is their ability to regenerate limbs to the same function and ability as the original limb. Now, there's some debate as to how many times an axolotl can regenerate the same limb, but you can learn more about limb regeneration in Emma Erickson's COS presentation as a part of the Exotic Animal Care and Husbandry video series. Axolotls, though, can regenerate more than just their limbs. They can also repair their tail's central nervous system and eye and heart tissue. This has made them an enormous factor in human limb and tissue regeneration studies and other studies for more than 100 years. They have also been the subject of genetics studies because of their enormous genome. Their genome is basically the sum of an organism's genetic material, and the axolotls is 10 times bigger than a human's. So, working with 2 of these critters for more than 2.5 years has been incredible, and there's a lot that goes into their care. For most critters, you need to know certain parameters to do with their ideal housing size, temperature range, substrate or bedding, also known as bedding, decor, and feeding requirements. Another part of caring for any animals is cleaning up after them, and it's especially important for axolotls because of how sensitive they are. Amphibians are naturally very sensitive to toxins in the water, which means any body of water that has amphibians in it is a generally healthy lake. So fully aquatic amphibians, of which there are very few, these fully aquatic amphibians need very clean water to thrive. This would normally mean a high-powered water filter, but fast water flow from a water filter will easily stress an axolotl out, so it has to be either a fancy filter or frequent water changes. Axolotls can be difficult to care for, but it's most definitely a really rewarding experience, which is why when Jenny laid eggs in July of 2020, I decided to raise all 55 of the larvae that made it, and why I decided to raise the subsequent 65 larvae from a different batch of eggs laid in September. The 14-day rapid growth process is a fascinating one, which I documented closely. You can watch embryos grow from a tiny little ball, smaller than the head of a pin, to a whole little tadpole within 2 weeks, because they have a very durable, transparent egg, and the larvae can still develop if they leave the egg before they're ready. It was incredibly tiring and incredibly rewarding to raise like 130 larvae at 2 different stages from eggs to juveniles. All but 5 of them found good homes outside of Concordia. 4 of them are being raised in 232, these bad boys here, in the hopes that there will be a female out of them that can be housed with Jenny. And 1 is staying at home with me. Thank you so much for watching, and happy costs!